I never thought I'd be the kind of person to question my wife. We had a perfect life, at least that's what I believed. Jenna and I had been married for 6 years, and everything seemed to fall into place. We were best friends before we were lovers, building our life on shared dreams, promises, and trust. I had always believed that she was the one person I could count on, the one who knew me better than anyone else. But sometimes, life has a way of revealing truths we aren't ready to face. Before we dive in, please subscribe. It means the world to us and helps us bring you more amazing stories. It started on a quiet evening. I was sitting in the living room, scrolling through my phone, just waiting for Jenna to get home from work. She had been working late more often, something I had brushed off as the demands of her new project at work. As I sat there, I heard her laugh, her genuine, carefree laugh coming from the other room. She was on the phone, talking to one of her friends. I couldn't quite make out the words, but her tone was light, almost flirtatious. I didn't think much of it at first, but then I heard something that stopped me cold. Her voice drifted through the walls, and I could hear her talking about lovers, other men. I froze, a chill running down my spine. She was laughing about it as though it were nothing, as if having a lover was just a casual topic. One of her friends mentioned how exciting it was to keep a secret, how thrilling the forbidden was. I felt a knot tighten in my stomach. Was she talking about herself? My heart raced as the words replayed in my mind. Was she having an affair? I tried to ignore it. I told myself I was being paranoid, but the doubt crept in like poison, and no matter how hard I tried, it wouldn't go away. I began to notice things, subtle things that hadn't bothered me before. Her phone was always face down on the table, her texts became more cryptic, and her responses to me grew colder. She had become more distant, more guarded, and I couldn't help but wonder, was I losing her? I tried talking to her about it, but she would brush it off, telling me I was overthinking things. I didn't want to be the jealous husband, so I kept my feelings to myself. But as the days went on, I became consumed with the fear that she might be hiding something from me. I knew I had to know the truth, even if it meant confronting the possibility that the woman I loved was betraying me. One evening, after she'd gone to bed, I found myself staring at her phone lying on the kitchen counter. It was like a magnet, pulling me in. My hands trembled as I picked it up, unlocking it without thinking. I had never invaded her privacy before, but my fear and anxiety got the better of me. I scrolled through her messages, at first trying to convince myself I was just being paranoid, but then I found it. The message thread with someone I didn't recognize. The name was unfamiliar, but the words were unmistakable. They were flirty, personal, intimate. "I miss you so much," one read. "I wish I could see you tonight," another. My stomach dropped as I scrolled further, reading more messages that I could never unsee. It wasn't just harmless chatting. It was an affair. She had been seeing someone. I felt like the world had collapsed around me. I could barely breathe. The man I had been, the husband I thought I was no more. The trust I had in her, the love we shared, was shattered in an instant. I tried to make sense of it, but I couldn't. I sat there, staring at the screen, my heart breaking with every word. The woman I had given everything to, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had been hiding a secret so deep that it tore apart the foundation of our relationship. The silence was deafening. I couldn't bring myself to confront her right away. What could I say? How could I even begin to express what I felt? Anger, pain, betrayal, all of it hit me like a wave, crashing over me until I was drowning in my emotions. But I knew I couldn't just let it go. I had to face the truth. I had to know everything, and she had to know that I knew. The next day, I waited for her to come home. My mind was a whirlwind of questions. How long had this been going on? Why hadn't I seen the signs? I had so many things to ask, so many things to say, but I was terrified of the answers. When she finally walked through the door, I didn't say a word at first. I just looked at her, my heart pounding in my chest. She could see it in my eyes. She knew something was wrong. "Who is he, Jenna?" I finally asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She froze, her face draining of color. What do you mean?" she stammered, her voice shaking. I didn't wait for her to deny it. The messages, I said, my voice shaking with rage and hurt as I held up her phone. Who is he? Why are you texting him like this? Her eyes widened as she glanced at the screen, and I saw the guilt in her face, the way her shoulders slumped as the truth settled between us. I didn't want you to find out like this, she whispered, tears welling in her eyes. It wasn't supposed to happen. She tried to explain, but it didn't matter. It didn't matter that she never meant to hurt me. The damage had already been done. The trust we had spent years building was gone. The promises we made to each other, the life we shared, felt like a distant memory. She told me how it started as something small, how it escalated when she felt neglected, when I wasn't there for her in the way she needed. I listened, but the words didn't make the pain go away. I didn't know what to say. I was furious, heartbroken, confused all at once. How long has this been going on? I demanded, my voice shaking with anger. She hesitated, looking away as if she couldn't bear to face me. 3 months, she whispered. 3 months. 3 months of lies, of deceit, of betrayal. I didn't know what to feel anymore. I wanted to scream, to lash out, but the words wouldn't come. My mind was spinning, and all I could hear was the sound of her apologies, the sound of the woman I thought I knew trying to explain away her actions. But there was no excuse. Not for this. I stood up, walked out of the room, and went into the garage. I needed space, air to breathe, something to ground me. How had everything gone so wrong? How had she gone from being the woman I thought I could trust more than anyone else to someone who had torn apart everything we built? I wasn't sure I could ever look at her the same way again. Days passed, and I tried to make sense of it all. She begged for forgiveness. She cried. She promised it would never happen again, but I couldn't bring myself to believe her. The trust was gone, and I couldn't see a way forward. Every time I looked at her, all I could see was the woman who had broken me. I moved out a week later. It wasn't easy, but I knew I had to. I couldn't stay in a house that no longer felt like home. Every corner, every memory was now tainted by what she had done. I needed to heal, to figure out who I was without her in my life. It's been months since I left. We haven't spoken much. She's reached out a few times, but I can't bring myself to answer. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive her. I don't know if I'll ever be able to trust again. But what I do know is that betrayal, no matter how deep or painful, forces you to face the truth about who you are and what you deserve. And the hardest part of this entire experience? It's not the affair itself, but the knowledge that I gave my whole heart to someone who wasn't truthful with me. The trust I had in her, in us, was something I thought was unbreakable, but I was wrong.